ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। कृष्णं नारायणं वन्दे कृष्णं वन्दे व्रजप्रियं कृष्णं द्वैपायनं वन्दे कृष्णं वन्दे पृथासुतं सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्यादिहेतवे तापत्रयविनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। यं प्रव्रजन्तमनुपेतमपेतकृत्यं द्वैपायनो विरहकातर ājuhāva पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरavo'bhineduh तं सर्वभूतहृदयं munimānato'smi। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतः चार्थेष्वभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदाय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयः यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। धर्मप्रोज्झितकैतवोऽत्र परमः निर्मत्सराणां सतां वेद्यं वास्तवमत्र वस्तु शिवदं तापत्रयोन्मूलनम्। श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनिकृते किं वा परैरीश्वरः सद्यो हृद्यवरुध्यतेऽत्र कृतिभिः शुश्रूषुभिस्तत्क्षणात्। निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं शुकमुखादमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः। मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः। When I was in school and college, we used to have something called MBBS, Members of Backbench Society. And amongst that, at least a few of us were called LLB, Lord of Last Bench, the most mischievous lot. So I think in this gathering I can give that credit to him. Okay, batch and చెప్తున్నాను. In Bhagavatam, we saw what is the purpose of this Bhagavata Shastra, right from Mahatmya, that which has been indicated and proven through the Mahatmya story, where Bhakti Devi is shown and depicted as being very young, and her son or sons, Jnana and Vairagya being very aged. The indicative meaning there is, in the name of bhakti, we find people arriving in, if there is a puja, if there is abhisheka, if there is sahasranamarchana, kumkumarchana, which involves lot of fruits, lot of flowers, lot of naivedya, you will find more people. Isn't that true here also? Anyway, but when it comes to understanding one's own self and taking the responsibility on our own shoulders to uplift our own self through jnana and vairagya, suddenly the interest goes away. Because in puja, in all these different kinds of archana, abhisheka, the responsibility and the onus is put on Bhagavan. Whereas in this, the effort squarely comes back in our own lap. As Hindu, Vaidika, Sanatana Dharmi, we are never taught to be God-fearing. I want that point to be sinking in deep and take a deep root. We never have to, it's almost like threatening that if you don't, God will be angry. Therefore, there is no necessity for forgiveness from God, because He is not an angry God. Therefore, it is not a God-fearing system. If it is not God-fearing, then what brings us in a format of discipline to ourselves? So these scriptures like Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita have very clearly said, if at all you have to fear, the scriptures declare, nirbhayo bhava, be fearless. But if at all you have to fear your own actions. Nothing else binds us more than our own actions. As we sow, so we reap. Yad bhavam tad bhavati. So it is squarely upon our own responsibility if we have to uplift or not uplift. So the karma that we perform in the aspect of understanding karma yoga, we hear people giving titles to each other. ये बड़े कर्म योगी हैं. This person is a very great karma yogi. Karma yoga does not mean that we be performing one particular act sometime during the week, sometime during the year, selflessly. It is the ability to be able to perform every single act selflessly. Imagine the sudden turn of focal point is from every minutest detail of our thought, word and deed to the largest scene of our action. The responsibility is on the individual. That is what on the first day I was telling. that Pandavas understood that the responsibility was on their shoulder and they showed their prayaschitta, did the tapas and tried rectifying their own mistakes. It is not, Mahabharata does not show to us that Pandavas were flawless. There were flaws. It's but human to err. But they took that responsibility upon themselves and brought in a sizable transformation from within. Those who claim that this sizable transformation can happen only if it is, God should make that change. The karma Bhagavan expects us to do. The phala is what he decides. It is not the other way around. We transfix ourselves on the phala and expect Bhagavan to create an environment wherein the karma seems to happen automatically. So the promise of Bhagavatam and its Shravana, first of all, this is that particular field wherein the principle of karma yoga, seems to have a reverse effect. Usually, I perform the karma, I am the one who will be facing the results of it, the phala of it. But in the field of satsanga, the effort is put by the speaker, the phala is enjoyed by the shrota, provided it is shrota and not sota. So all that I have to do with whatever is the background that I am in, whatever that I have done, whether good, bad, ugly, horrifying, doesn't matter. Put the effort to come into that realm of satsanga in the presence of Bhagavan, in the presence of that altar. He will not judge you. And once we come in, then he says, Vedyam vastavamatra vastu shivadam tāpatrayavināśāya mūlanam. By the Shravana Matra, Shravana is not hearing because the ears are open. Shravana is an interactive listening process wherein my mind is engaged in that which it is hearing and tries to make sense of it in its own personalization of application. So just by mere listening to it attentively, Astu Shivadam. Immediately what happens? Transformation begins from within. Shivadam. Shiva, the most auspicious. The word Shiva etymologically stands for the meaning Shubha Pradakara, the one that does absolute good for the individual. Shivadam, it automatically, immediately gives that Shubha-prada environment within, thereby promising Shubha-prada environment outside as well. How do you say with such emphatic emphasis? He says, because it removes tāpatrayavināśāya, removes the tāpatraya. Dukkha nivritti is guaranteed as soon as we open our hearts to listen to it attentively. How does this Bhagavatam have that kind of a power that just by listening to it, it can transform us from within? So the last shloka in the invocation, it says, Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam shukamukhad amrutadrava samyutam pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. if you have grown up with a garden, specifically fruit garden, in your backyard, for that matter in anybody's backyard, close by. Because the fruits in others' backyard, that too taken without them knowing, are more tasty. What are the kinds of fruits that usually are very tasty? Specifically that fruit which has been tasted by a parrot. If the parrot has already tasted that particular fruit, it nibbles on a very little, its stomach is full. The rest of the fruit is left behind. If we assume that, I will not touch that fruit, you are missing out on wonderful experience. Because the parrot specifically chooses amongst all the fruits that particular fruit which is the sweetest and the tastiest. I think the parrot's principle in its own life is, the parrot is telling, to please me is very easy. I only love the best. So it chooses the best of the best of the best that is available on that tree, eats whatever it can, the rest of it is left behind. And if you have paid attention, that should be the first fruit that you should be plucking, clean, and then taste it. How many of you have had the opportunity to taste such fruit? Most of us. In the ashram where I am living right now, there are several varieties of mangoes. And there are several parrots as well. So in the season, my job is to keep an eye on that particular mango which has been tasted and touched by the parrot. The rest of them are also okay. But this one is Amrita Tulya. So the same example is taken here. And the pun is on the word Shuka. Shuka means parrot. Here the Vakta is Shukacharya. If we assume that the entire length, breadth and depth of scriptures take a form of a tree, Nigama Kalpa Taror Phalam. From that tree, in its branches, there is a phala. How is that phala? Galitam phalam, a ripe fruit. Galitam means that which has reached to its prime. Galitam phalam. Shuka mukhad amritat drava samyutam. Here the beauty of the poet, Vyasa Maharaj says, the nectarine quality of that fruit is because it is touched by the parrot. It is as though the parrot is infusing that sweetness, the beauty in it by its touch. Shukacharya, who was verily the son of Bhagavan Vyasa Maharaj, who has authored all the scriptures that which we are studying. So we have various sampradayas, philosophical differences, Dvaita, Advaita, Vishishtadvaita, Nimbarga, Gaudiya, several sampradayas. Based on the worship, like the other day I explained, the Saurya, Pranapatya, Shakta, Shaiva, Vaishnava. So there are various kinds of sampradayas under the umbrella of Sanatana Dharma. All of them universally celebrate in remembering the blessings of Bhagavan Vedavyasi, and we celebrate it as Guru Purnima or Vyasa Purnima. The idea here being that Vyasa Maharaj, who has compiled all the Vedic literature. Let me ask a test question. Many of you have heard this before. How many Vedas? When all the students fail at it, then it is not the student's problem, it is the teacher's problem. So let me repeat it again. There is one Veda which has 4 aspects to it, which was divided in that format by Veda Vyasa Maharaj. Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda and Atharvana Veda. Then the entire Itihasa in the format of Mahabharata, Ashtadasha Purana and several commentaries authored by Bhagavan Veda Vyasa. Born to such. And how was he born? Yam pravrajantamanapetamapetakṛtyaṃ dvaipāyano virahakātara ājuhāva. Such a great Rishi, Bhagavan Vedavyasa, avatar of Bhagavan Vishnu himself, was eagerly waiting for the son, and the son was like, as soon as he was born, he did not even look at the parents. He said, all that I care about is Bhagavan's Padasparsha, and I am done. Kritartha. Born Vairagi. To such a one who has intense vairagya, he has grown up under the tutelage, under the teacher, none other than Bhagavan Vedavyasa, who has churned the entire Vedic literature and poured it into these scriptures, such scriptures studied by Shukacharya, and that which is coming from his mouth, Amrita Drava Samyutam. And what is it that he is speaking about? Is Nigama Kalpataru, the essence of the entire scriptural knowledge and wisdom, touched by Shukacharya. Therefore, it has that immortality of beauty, bliss, and taste to just listen to it. Therefore, the beauty here again is, who is saying this? Vedavyasa is writing this. About whom? About his own son. See, many of us would like to praise our kid for the sake of it. But here is a kid who has awestruck the father and the teacher. So he says, such amazing rarity of finding Shukacharya as the teacher, and that being taught in the format of Bhagavata, Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Muhuraho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavuka. Drink this nectaring quality of Bhagavatam again and again and again. And who is the Shrota? What is the address given to the Shrota? It says Rasikaha. What is the qualification that you need to have? Is to come with the eagerness to hear the stories of Bhagavan. And in our Upanishads, we say Raso Vaisaha Rasagdamhe Vayaṃ Ladva Anandi Bhavati. Paramatma is described as rasa in only our scriptures. Rasa means what? Essence. in most of the Andhra, Tamil Nadu area, there is one particular dish which is called rasam. Why is it called rasam? It is the extract and the essence of everything that is put in it, therefore it is called rasam. Rasa is the essence. Rasa is the sara, the essence of it. Rasikaha bhuvi bhavukaha. So far, I have only focused on getting to introduce the subject, the glory of this subject, the purpose of Bhagavatam, the utility of it, the sadhana of it has been described just through the Mangalacharana. Now we enter into Katha. After 3 days of effort, we finally enter into Katha. नैमिषे निमिषक्षेत्रे ऋषयक्षौणकादयः सत्रं स्वर्गाय लोकाय सहस्रसमस्तमात् त एकदातु मुनयः. So there was in this Naimisharanya Kshetra, there were these Shaunakadi rishis that were performing Satra Yaga. There were several karma kanda yaga, karma that they were involved in. Their day to day was very busy, hectic. They would start with Pratara Sandhya. The Pratara Sandhya is to be performed before the sun rises. Meaning what? They were very disciplined people. If somebody were to say, I wake up the moment the sun hits the window. The mother said, but his room faces west. Pratara Sandhya they would perform. Then they would get into the Satra Yaga till late noon. Then they would have a quick lunch. But if you have done the yaga, yajna, homa, ityadi, sitting in front of that fire, you will be invariably smoked out. And the heat has its effect. It's a great punya, but there's a great tapas also. So exhausted with the morning chores, they would then approach Suta Mahashaya. Suta is actually a title. They would approach Suta Mahashaya and they would request. So all the Puranic literature, this is the format. Suta Mahashaya is the speaker and Shaunakadi rishis are the listeners. And the way they ask the questions, it is obviously clear that they have done so many Satrayagas and they have heard these Puranas so many times. It is like almost feels like a child sitting in front of the mother. The children, when they are still very young, as a parent, as a grandparent, you tell them stories to put them to sleep. And if you give them a choice, today, beta, what story would you like to hear? There would be 1 or 2 stories that they specifically love. Mama, touched. And as you are trying to narrate the story, they are so inquisitive that, can you come to that part? Because they know the story by heart. But they are listening to it the nth time. It's almost like fast forwarding without a remote. The grandparent is the fast forwarder. Come to that part of the story. Can you tell that part again? Rewind. So it almost feels Shaunakadi Rishi is asking Suta Mahashaya specific incidents that it almost feels like they have heard it. They want to hear those aspects more intensely again and again and again. Muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavutaha. Muhuraha means again and again they are listening to it. So they all assemble around Suta Mahashaya. They sit down in their own asanas. Now these Shaunakadi Rishis, don't take them lightly. Like many Indians, wherever we gather, can you all hear me? I know mic is off. It takes a painful effort to rewind something. Can you hear me? Yeah. So wherever we Indians gather, I don't know when it started, how it started, why it started, but it has started, painfully though. Let's play Antakshari. बैठे बैठे थक गए, करना था कुछ काम, शुरू करो अंत्याक्षरी. Why? I have to pass the time. This is the greatest folly that we all have, that we have the freedom to pass time. Bhartrhari in his Vairagya Shataka says it very beautifully. He says, Kalo na yata vayameva yataha. We think that we are passing time, but in reality it is the time which is passing us on. And before we realize, we are already gone. Kalo na yataha vayameva yataha. We cannot pass time. And funny, some people put their watches 10 minutes fast. Really? We have the independence and freedom to fast forward time. It's just a feel good factor. It does nothing to time, it goes with its pace. If you are engaged in that pace, it feels short. If you are disengaged in that space, it feels long. I was at a university trying to deliver a lecture, and before I was introduced, I was asked to sit amongst them in the first row. I had one of the hilarious glimpses, because on those benches somebody had carved, not drawn, carved. There was a samadhi of someone. On that tombstone, there is a hilarious sentence written, dedicated in the memory of those who almost passed out in this boring English lecture. So if you are not engaged in that space, it feels that the time is unending. If you are completely engaged in it, it feels a very short time. Theory of relativity, very well explained in that. That it feels longer, it means that I am not engaged. I mean, today's kids, they feel bored with everything. 2 minutes into something, I am bored. We have not taught them how to engage meaningfully. Because for us it is convenience. It takes effort to make them sit and feed them. Therefore we put a pad, stupid pad in front of them. And as they are watching it, we dump the food inside. And then suddenly, as they grow into the school system, we expect transformation. We have not put the foundation of transformation because we were searching for convenience. And now suddenly, stop wasting your time, focus. जब फोकस सिखाना था तो खुद को फोकस नहीं था. So when the interest has to be garnered, it's such a amazement that these Shaunakadi rishis, who were quite an accomplished people, we'll come to that part where Shaunakacharya's biodata is also given. He was a Kulapati. He was a dean of a university. That means he used to run Gurukula. Imagine somebody who has the capacity to run the Gurukula as the university comes eagerly running to Suta Mahashaya, sits down in front of them and says, please, let's start the Bhagavad Purana, please. So they all gathered and they asked. Says, they all in unison say, Vaya khalu puranani setihasani chanagha akhyatani adhitani dharmashastrani anyuta yani vedavidam sreshtaha bhagavan badarayanaha anye cha munayasuta paravaravido viduhu. We know that you are quite an exponent in Purana Itihasa. And you have had the opportunity to listen to this directly from Badarayana. Badarayana, Vyasa's son. Directly from Shukacharya, you have had the opportunity to listen to this, and you are an exponent at this. Not just this, you are also well versed in Veda Vidam. You have learnt, digested, understood, and lived your life according to the standards of the Vedas. Therefore, we find it very enriching to be in front of you. Such a great opportunity. Tulsidas ji says in Ramcharitmanas, eyes have found their fulfillment that day when it has come to see its own Guru, a Santa Mahatma. Otherwise, carrying these eyes is just like the peacock eyes on the feathers, meaning useless. We have been blessed to have you, and you be ready, you be available to entertain us with this Katha Shravana. You know that the entire day in the morning, the whole morning, we have spent in front of that fire. We have been heated up. Please soothe us with your amazing Katha Shravana so that we can cool down. So what was their way of chilling? Is Katha Shravana. Suta janasi bhadrante bhagavan satvatam patihi devakyam vāsudevāsya jato yasya cikirshaya. And now the specific request. We would want to listen again. See the word again, they're using the word again. We would want to listen to this again. One day, I was being driven to the lecture, to the discourse by the host. and their teenage son also was forced to join. No, you also come, that's all. Grumpy faced, he also joined. And as soon as he joined, he looked at his father who was driving, and his question was, Appa, Tamil family, Appa, how many times have you heard this Bhagavad Gita? At least 7-8 times. Don't you feel it boring? Or are you that dumb? It's a son uvacha. Son is speaking to the father. So the father said, Beta, when you fall in love with a certain subject, you would like to hear it as many times possible, again and again and again, and you will still not feel bored. Moreover, these scriptures are such that as you mature and reread it, you will find a new interpretation or a newer depth in it for you to appreciate and apply. You can never say that, I am done with reading it once, I am finished. Khatam kar diya isko. After reading it, the first reading, I apply it, then I mature over it, then I reread it, I find, oh, how did I miss this point last time? Because now with this newer maturity, when I am looking at it, it seems very obvious. How could I miss this? If you ever have been to Halebeedu, the temple, as many times that you go, it's so intricately, so beautifully carved, inside out. In fact, any one of these temples, you feel that you have seen it once, you go back to it, how did I miss this part last time? Because it reveals its inner depth as and when you mature, and that maturity takes you to a newer depth. This is again, please tell us, Devakyam Vasudevasya Jato Yasya Chikirshaya. Devaki Vasudeva's son, that was the joy of their life, his life and story. That Bhagavan Vishnu, who has taken several avatars, include all those avatars, but specifically focus on that Krishna avatar for us. And he says, Ko va bhagavatastasya punya shlokedya karmanaha shuddhikamo na shrunuyat yashah kalimalapaham. You have been blessed with this, directly hearing from the great ones like Shukacharya. We would like to not just cool ourselves after the morning havan that we have done, but we would also like to uplift ourselves to the same stature that you have uplifted yourself. Vayaṃ tu na vidrapyam uttama shloka vikrame shrunvatam rasajñānam svādu svādu pade pade. Yes? How many ever times we have heard it, Vayaṃ tu na vidrapyāmah. We are not satisfied with it. Therefore, can you repeat it again? See, when the crowd says once more, it can mean two things. There was a new amateur singer that wanted this opportunity to sit in front of a gathering and sing. Unfortunately for that fellow, there were stalwarts in that particular brand or class of music. They were sitting right in the front. As soon as this fellow finished, they all looked at each other and said, "Once more." He felt very thrilled. They are the ones asking. I mean, as soon as he finished the second time around, they all again said, "Once more." Okay. He was now even more inspired and he rendered it the third time. They said, "Once more," the fourth time. He said, "What? I am tired now." He said, "No, you cannot give up until you come to perfection." So repeat it. This was not that case. Why? They are themselves saying it. The way you say it, the way you present it, it is filled with so much of bhava, rasa. And every word, every shloka, swadu, swadu, pade, pade. It is so enjoyable every single time we hear it. ब्रूहि योगेश्वरे कृष्णे ब्रह्मण्ये धर्मवर्मणि स्वाम काष्ठामधुनोपेते धर्मत्वं शरणं गतः. Please include. Within that story, there is a special request also. What is the special request? When you are describing the life of Bhagavan Shri Krishna, also please include how this Kali Yuga has come to be, what happened to Dharma, what happened to the essence of that Dharma, and in this Kali Yuga, how to live a life of Dharma. So they are actually asking all of this for our sake. Whenever we find such interested audience, even the speaker feels inspired to teach. About 25 years ago, I was responsible for Chinmaya Mission in Vijayawada. That's where I met her. Amma. So at that time, there was a very profound master in various aspects of scriptures. And I had the opportunity to sit in his presence and listen to a lot of Shastra Vichara. Manik Shastra. So there is this place called Shiva Rama Krishna Kshetra. And I usually arrived very early, at least 10 minutes before, and sit at the right spot so that there is no hindrance, I can listen to him directly. And he is, I found it very sweet. He would not care who is sitting. He would close his eyes and give his pravachan on Nyaya Shastra, on Mimamsa, on Brahma Sutras. So he did not actually care about who the listener was. He used to come for 1.5 to 2 hours at a stretch, even at his very advanced age. He was probably 75, 78 something. And he would, with such clarity, speak. One day when it was raining, I reached a little late, 5 minutes late. And I was going inside that hall. 2-3 ladies that were probably regular. Those who sit in front do not know what is the crowd behind. So I used to sit in the front. I did not know who were coming. And I would usually hang back and ask some questions, and he would very lovingly clarify them. By then the crowd is already gone. So that day, these 2-3 ladies, he was still speaking and they were leaving. I said, he's still speaking, why are you leaving? So they said, Ivala Vinay Punyan Lede. Then what happened? See, that hall was built in a very ancient time. There is a stage, but there are several pillars. So whenever there are pillars, there is an obstruction to see. I said, there is enough space. No, there are no pillars left. They said. Why do they feel that that day's bhagya of listening to him is not there? Is because they did not have a pillar, so that they could relax and listen to him. If such are the students, no wonder why the teacher has closed his eyes. Whenever there is a good, interested, inquisitive audience, the speaker also feels uttejita, inspired. So that is described in the second chapter. Vyasa uvacha. Where did Vyasa come? I mean, he is the author. So as an author statement, he has a statement to make. Vyasa uvacha. Iti prashna samhrishtaha viprāṇaṃ romaharshinihi pratipūjya vachastesham pravaktum upachakrame. Raumaharshini, the son of Romaharshana, his father was also a kathakara. So Raumaharshini, the son of Romaharsha, whenever we talk about the son of such and such, the first letter gets elongated. Vasudeva's son becomes Vasudeva. Dasharatha's son, Dasharathi. Janaka's daughter, Janaki. Oh, revelation today. So, Romaharshana's son, therefore the elongation of it would be Raumaharshini. And what was his name? Ugrashrava. He was such an inquisitive listener that he was named as Ugrashrava, a very enthusiastic listener. So when he was thus worshipfully asked by these people, Suta thus begins this Bhagavata addressing Shaunakādi rishis. Today, Rohini Kumar was asking me, so in last 3 days, how many shlokas have we covered, Swami? I said, still establishing the ground, the foundation for Bhagavata, we have only covered 3 shlokas. I still have to cover the 4th shloka of the invocation. But as soon as I finish that, we will be flying through the chapters. Already first chapter is done. So we are now into the second chapter. Suta uvacha. Yam pravrajantamanapetamapetakṛtyaṃ dvaipāyano virahakātara ājuhāva putreti tanmayatayā taravo'bhineduh tam sarvabhūtahṛdayaṃ munimānato'smi. So Sutaji is now personally offering his salutations to his Guru. Whenever we look at the knowledge and how it has been organized, there is never ever a claim by any teacher, any guru in this sampradaya, that this knowledge is invented by me, patented by me, copyrighted by me. Never ever. They always say, iti sushruma purvesham. Thus that which has been given by our elders, my gurus, by their gurus, the entire sampradaya and parampara. Meaning what? This is not something which is tested on you for the first time. Sometimes people out of love, when they invite me to their home for food, Diksha, I had to be extra cautious. Out of love. The mother says, Swamiji, I have made this only for you. First time this recipe only for you. That is my red flag. They have the enthusiasm, they want to give something special. Out of my own experience, I have learnt, whoever is from whichever background, ask them that will be the best to eat. Don't go to northern India and ask for idli. It will be a cricket ball. Don't go to South India and ask for aloo paratha. It will be a flying disc. Whoever is expert at whatever, that is what that should be taken and enjoyed. So, but when they say that this is the first time I am bringing this recipe and only for you, I am like, yo. Like, this is like a science lab and I am the guinea pig to be experimented upon. In the path of knowledge, the sampradaya is that there is a very long, lengthy, profound parampara of Guru Sishya that have understood this knowledge, applied this knowledge, experienced that which is pointed by this knowledge, hence therefore authentic to be applied in our lives as well. Don't we find it proud when they say, this is my grandmother's recipe? Meaning what? Generations have gone through enjoying this, therefore it is a blessed item to enjoy. Safe. Similarly here, the first thing that Sutaji says is, I invoke the blessings of that Vairagya Murti who learned this knowledge from his own father. To that Shukacharya, I offer munimānato'smi. Tam munim aham nataha asmi. See, when we say namaskara, I may have touched upon this earlier, but it doesn't hurt if I repeat it. When we say namaste, first of all, it has to be two hands together. It is not namaste or namaste or namaste. It is considered very insulting to do so. It has to be with both hands together. The word namaste, our Guruji used to say, ये भक्त लोग भी अजीब है, करते हैं नमस्ते नमस्ते पर कुछ नहीं समझते. When we say namaste, that word namaste has got two parts to it. Namaha te. Namaha, salutations, te, unto you. That divine presence, you that you are, unto that divinity is my salutations. And the best part is, there is no I involved in it. The full sentence should be aham te namaskaromi. But when you say namaste, there is no aham in it. That is the fulfillment of namaste. That I, the one who is doing namaste, is not important, but unto who that namaskara is being offered, that is important. Unto them, my head bows down in humility. You see the profoundness of the very gesture called Namaste. Now the purpose as to why we have to put both hands together. Now that science has developed enough, we know that the left side of our body is controlled by the right side of the brain, if it exists. The right side controls the left side, and the left side of the brain controls the right side. Most of the time, we are busily engaged in some other world inside. कुछ तो खिचड़ी पकाते रहते हैं. कच पच कच पच कच पच कच पच कच. Throughout the day, the mind is preoccupied with several things. There is 10% of our mind which is occupied with, family, another 10% with children, another 5% with the school, another 5% with my own job or business, another 10% with my friends, another 10%. It is like hooked on in several stages of percentages in several different aspects. But when we are offering that namaskara, we should be able to snap out of all of those hangovers, bring ourselves to that present moment, and then offer ourselves completely unto that presence in front of us. Therefore, putting both hands together is suggestively bringing both sides of the brain together to that particular moment. In 100% to that presence, we are offering ourselves at the feet of that who is being saluted for that moment. And nowadays, even this also is gone. See, 22 years ago, when for the first time I was sent to US, it was completely a new dimension of culture. They speak English, but it has nuances of completely different context or understanding. So in the very beginning, 6 months that I started going to the nearby university. I used to give lectures there. And the lecture hall that I had to reach, I had to cross a gym of that university. And that university was known for its athletics in the football field. Not the football, but hand football. Not the soccer, but I am 6 foot. Those people, those athletes are like giants. I have to look up to them like that. And 90% of them were from the black community, African American community. And to tell you the truth, I was scared to cross that little phase to get to that hall, so I would keep my head down and walk. One day, as I was crossing, there was this athlete that was crossing, and our eyes met, and he gestured. I got scared. I put my head down and walked as fast as I could. Then I found a high schooler and explained him this situation. I said, what does this mean? Because where I come from, in India, when somebody unknown and does this, it almost is like challenging you as to why are you here? Isn't it? Yeah. क्यों है इधर? I was scared. That kid started laughing at me and I said, Swamiji, it is saying hello. It is vichitra prapancha hai bhai. That you say hello this way? I said, okay. How do I respond? So you also do the same gesture. I said, okay, like this. No. It has to be head bending as though but not bending. It has to be. Because as if I was going through a Bharatanatyam class and I was learning a mudra. So I learned that. So next time with a little bit of confidence when I was going through for my, once a week I used to go. So happily only once a week. So I used to cross that and I found the same guy and he did this. I also did this now with confidence. And then he looked at me with a smile and said, "What's up, dog?" I'm like, this is not right. My interpreter, I heard, "What's up, dog?" Translate it into Hindi. क्या है कुत्ते? This is not right. And I can put my head down, walk fast. Came back to that 12th grader. He was my guru in understanding the local language or the local English. So I said, "Bhaiya, aisa ho gaya." Why was he angry at me? He fell on the floor laughing. He said, "Swamiji, it is not D-O-G, it is D-A-W-G. And it means, what's up, friend?" I said, "How should I answer?" You should say, "Sup." What do you mean, sup? Supper? I said, No. What is up? Cut short, it has become what's up. Cut it short, it has become sup. You have to say, sup. So each place has its own way, but in our sampradaya, what is the best way? See, after COVID, we should know it better. You don't need to shake hand, you don't need to give a hug. दूर से 6 meters, 20 meters ले दूर से Namaste. Now you understand the profoundness of putting hands together and offering namaskara. Then he says, nārāyaṇaṃ namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devīṃ sarasvatīṃ vyāsam tato jayamudirayet. Most of you must have heard this particular shloka. It comes here. It is from Bhagavatam. Nārāyaṇaṃ namaskritya, offering the salutations to Bhagavan Narayana and his twin. They were the avatar of Nara and Narayana, who are still doing tapas in Badrikāśrama, Badri Narayana. The Badri temple is on the Narayana temple, Narayana mountain, and the one next to it is called the Nara. So Nara Narayana, Naram Chaiva Narottam. And because this is knowledge, Vidya, Devīṃ Sarasvatīṃ Cha, offering salutations to Saraswati Devi. Vyāsam Tato Jayamudirayet, to the Grand Master. For him, Shukacharya, Shukacharya's Guru, the Grand Master. Like grandfather, Grand Master. To that Vyasa Maharaj also offering the salutations. Then he says, Munayas sadhu prishtoham bhavadbhir lokamangalam Yat-krita Krishna samprashnaha yenatma suprasidati. See, this is the beauty of our teachers. Whoever comes with whatever background, when the student asks a question, unlike how the parents treat their children, whenever the teacher is approached with a question, the teacher doesn't say, "Idi kuda telida? You don't know this much? Dumb fellow." No. Sadhu kṛṣṇaṃ tvaya. Good question that you have asked. So there is an encouraging environment that is built. When the child asks the parent a question, especially with regards to our traditions, our customs, our practices, usually they ask very awkward questions. Amma, why is this? Why do we have to do it? I have told you last time also, right? There are 3 or 4 kinds of responses that every Hindu parent invariably gives. First response: you will learn it when you grow up. You will understand it when you grow up. Have you heard such answer? She's sitting next to you. Your mother is sitting next to you. She's shaking the head. Yes, yes, I have heard. Be careful, she's sitting right next to you. The second answer, when the child pesters to ask the same question again, then the parents rescue the second answer. Very uniform, it is worldwide. Even if I tell you, you won't understand. And still the child persists. What does the parent do? Why are you wasting your time in this? Go study. Did he say the same thing? Then the fourth response is Sesham kopena purayet. Still they persist. Raise your decibel level. They are asking for a logic. The response of decibel level increasing is not the logic. Shouting and screaming at them is not the logic. Take time. Explain it again. It takes time for them to understand. Why? Your genetics. It's your own expansion, right? So don't get frustrated with your own expansion. Be more compassionate. अरे अपना ही तो है. Explain it again. But explain it in such a way that there is a sense of openness created that they can always approach you again. So the teacher here says, Sadhu kṛṣṇaṃ tvaya. You have asked amazingly beautiful aspect. Not only that it will benefit you, it is bhavadbhir loka mangalam. It will help everybody else as well. And he says, Vāsudevāya bhagavati bhakti yoga prayojitaha janatyāshu vairakyam jnanam cha yadahaitukam. That bhakti towards Vasudeva, that which you have specifically asked, as soon as you tune yourself to that bhakti towards Bhagavan, her children also will bless you. Not only Bhakti Devi will bless you, it is her children who is Jnana and Vairagya also will enrich you. Now pay attention. He says something very, very important. This is, many people self-claim. If somebody has dedicated their entire life for their job or for their work, it doesn't make them karma yogi. There is a word for it in English, it's called workaholic. Being a workaholic is not called a karma yogi. If we have selflessly worked in whatever field that we have chosen to work in, even if it be a housewife, after coming to a certain stage of maturity through that particular field, one should attain to such an amount of dispassion wherein our mind eagerly wants to tune into something higher. If that is not achieved, that is not accomplished, and still the mind wants to go to parties and clubs and gossips, the whole life is wasted. I am not saying this. Shuka Maharaj is saying this. धर्मस्वनुष्ठितः पुंसां विश्वक्सेन कथासु नोत्पद्येत् यदि रतिं श्रम एव हि केवलम्. If after having spent an entire life full of fulfilling responsibilities, if it is fulfilled in the right order, it should raise enough inquisitiveness and dispassion so that there is inquisitiveness towards Bhagavan and there is a yearning to connect with that Bhagavan. If that has not happened, then na utpadyate yadi. If that has not arisen in our hearts, shrama eva hi kevalam. All life that we have done is nothing but live a burdensome life of one task after one task after one task, wherein at the stage of retirement we fear to retire. I don't know what I will do after this. That question should not arise if it has been selflessly performed. Then he says, why is it that this connection to higher becomes important to such people? Vadanti tattvavidah tattvam yajñānam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdyate. That which we call with the name of Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan, it is the Advaya Jnana of one's own true nature. Therefore, we would want to connect with ourselves. Without that connection, there is a vacuum inside. This is a little psychology, spirituality, philosophy, everything mixed in this shloka. Most of our life, there is a sense of fulfillment that which we are searching. Maybe if I go to this place, experience that will fill me up. I'll feel content. Content means what? To be filled with. Maybe this experience, maybe this relation, maybe this kind of job, maybe this kind of name, stature, wealth. What is it that fills me in? After having lived a life of fulfilling all the responsibilities, one should come to the point wherein, been there, done that, nothing of this will give me that contentment. What is it that turns me into that contentment? maybe I should connect to something higher. And that higher is when it connects to that core within, to the self within. And the closer we get, the sense of fulfillment is deeper. The contentment is higher. And that contentment to be one with one's own self is called jnanam advayam. Being undividedly one with one's own self. Otherwise, what happens? We live a very fragmented lifestyle. Ganga gaye Gangaram, Jamuna gaye Jamnaram. When I am in front of a certain person, I behave in a certain way. When I am in a certain environment, I behave in a certain way. Our roles and responsibilities are also like that. When I am with the husband, so when I am in front of children, there is mother. When I am in front of parents, I am still a child. Roles and responsibilities also keep changing, and we keep fragmenting ourselves between all these various dharma that we have lived. Therefore, in Bhagavad Gita, what is the message? In the last chapter of Bhagavad Gita, sarva dharman parityajya. Drop all these various fragmented lifestyle that you have lived so far. Gather yourself up to be consolidated into one wholesome being within. Sarvan anyan dharman tyaja. Mam ekam sharanam vraja. To that self within, reunite yourself. Therefore, we call it Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Karma Yoga. What does yoga mean? It is not twisting of the body. That is yogasana. What does yoga mean? The root word of yoga is yuja dhatu. Yuja means to unite, to become one with. One with what? One with that core of my own being, the self within, the supreme within. That is what we call as Paramatma, Brahman, Bhagavaniti. So where is that Bhagavan? One aspect is, where is he not? And he is verily in here. So why do we need temples? Why do we need altar? Why do we need all this hangama? Are there radio waves in this room? Yes or no? चलो cell phone भी radio wave पे ही चलता है. Are there those bars? Network. If it is full, it means full of radio waves. If you are talking about the transistor, the radio, and I want to listen to a certain channel FM, then I need that instrument to tune to that particular wavelength so that I can listen to it. The altar is such a tuner, sitting in front of which it acts like a mirror to reflect that self. Therefore, I close my eyes whenever I am in front of the altar, so that I can connect to that Bhagavan within. Tachraddhadhana munayaha jnana vairagya samyutaha Pashyanti atmani chatmanam bhaktya shruta grihitaya. See, sometimes when you praise somebody of certain quality, they may not have even an iota of that quality. But when you praise them of it, you are indicatively suggesting that भैया सुधर जाओ, उस क्वालिटी तक पहुंच जाओ. Reach to that stature. See, most of us, when we take to this path of sannyasa, our names are changed. Most of us are given the name which suits that which we have attained to. Most likely, most of us have been given so that we can attain to. That path, that which you have chosen, is to reach to that Ananda. Therefore, your name also is Ananda. All, what is the last name of, what is the last part of the name? Ananda. Last name is Saraswati, but the name itself, what is the last part of it? Ananda. Meaning what? You are speaking on Ananda, you are bringing that topic of Ananda. At least let it reflect in your life, on your face. So here, the Guru is praising the Shishya to say that I am pleased to have students like you who are enriched and endowed with Jnana Vairagya Sampannaha. Meaning what? Either you are already there, if not, quickly catch up and come there. See, this is the concept of positive enforcement. When we deal with our children, do you know what is the first word that the child learns to say? The first word that the child learns to say, no! Because he has heard it so many times, the child may not understand the meaning. The first thing that the child learns to say is no, because that is how we have been enforcing. But instead, how should it be? A positive enforcement wherein, instead of saying a negation, instead of saying a no, instead of putting them down, raise them to the level wherein you expect them to be the 100th time. Here, he says, I am so pleased that you have come with this Jnana Vairagya Sampanna. Even in reality, there are how many apartments in this complex here, in this gated community? About 300? हम दो हमारे दो, so her family 4, right? So 300 times 4, 1200. What is the percentage here? Less than 1%. 5%. Less than 1%. When you compare it with the rest of them, you have had the vairagya to give up whether the TV you are watching or whatever other activity that you are engaged in. You took time off to come here, detaching yourself from whatever you are attached to. Isn't that called vairagya? You're like, oh, that's called vairagya. Okay, I am also engaged with vairagya. See, as soon as you heard the explanation that this can be looked in as vairagya, how was your heart receiving it? How was your understanding receiving it? Me? Vairagya? Seriously? Acha? I also have vairagya, huh? Did you feel the sudden? That is the power of positive enforcement. You could have chosen to listen to any number of things, but you had the wisdom to be here. Isn't it called jnana? Therefore, he says, jnana vairagya samyuktaha. You have asked the apt question to listen to this Bhagavata Katha. Therefore, unhindered, henceforth, I will be discussing right from the origins of this Bhagavata, where it started, when it started, how it started, who was inspired, who inspired the one that was inspired. I will start from there on. So, Suta Mahashaya says that he will tell this tomorrow. I just looked at it, it was already 8:35. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om